In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to find the circumference of a circle using the formula. Prior knowledge should be very aware of the difference between radius and diameter of a circle. So in a previous video, I did this diagram here. So this is just a reminder what the word circumference meant. Circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle or a circular object. So it would be the length of ribbon going around your birthday cake. It would be the distance of string around the outside of anything circular. It's just a fancy word for perimeter of a circle, basically. And to be able to do it, you need to know the difference between radius and diameter. Radius is half your diameter, diameter is double your radius, okay? So if I was teaching this in a classroom, I would try and do a practical experiment, and I would give you four different objects to maybe go measure, and this is the results from an actual time I did it previously. And I gave the class out 4 different items to measure, and I asked them to measure the diameter as best as they could from the centre, going through the centre of a circle from one side to the other, and then we got a measuring tape and worked out the circumference. And this is what we got. So this was a measurement. And then I would put this diagram up on the board and I would say to the class, right, can you spot any kind of connection between the diameter and the circumference? And most people would then maybe like, oh, I'm not too sure. And then I would say, well, maybe look for a connection. What could you times 7.5 by roughly to get 23? And they all had this connection of timesing by 3. 7.5 times 3 is 21.5. Okay, I'm not quite there. 23 times 3 is 69. Okay, close but not quite there. 3 times 11 is 33. Again, close but not quite there. But the connection is the circumference is roughly 3 times their diameter. Now, mathematicians discovered years ago that there is an actual formula that to find the circumference of a shape, you times it by this mathematical number called pi. Now, pi is the number 3.141592654, and it keeps going and going and going. Now, we're only going to use this to 2 decimal places, and when you come into maybe further up the scale, we might use the actual pi button for accuracy, but for this, we're going to use 3.14, which is the 2 decimal place abbreviation of pi. So this is the formula for the circumference of a circle. So a couple of things to point out is this symbol pi is drawn as 2 straight lines and then either a wavy line or 2 straight lines and a straight line. That is the symbol for pi. Pi is how it's said out loud. And that stands for 3.14159 repeated, and it keeps going on and on. But we're going to shorten that today to 3.14. So here is your formula. This is the bit you should copy down. Circumference is pi times the diameter. Now that reminds me of a song that I would usually play in class at this point if I was teaching this that you find really annoying, but it definitely helps when a man sings, circumference is pi times diameter. And it really sticks in your head, so apologies for singing there. But we're going to shorten it to C equals pi d. This is a formula you also kind of need to remember as well. I don't think it's always given to you. So let's look at some examples. So question 1, we've got this pink circle. We're going to start by writing the formula. So C equals pi d. We replace pi with 3.14. Because the 2 letters are stuck together, remember that means timesing, and then that song that I just sung is pi times diameter. So the diameter is the full width of the circle, which we've been given, which is 6. Now this could be on calculator and you'd have to go set down a wee sum, but we do have a calculator today. And if you type that in, you get 18.84. Now I think for the sake of my worksheet that I've done everything to 1 decimal place today. So we're going to round that as 18.84. So that goes to 18.8 centimetres. And as usual, I'm going to write 1 decimal place because it's not exactly 18.8 centimetres. So just to show that I've rounded it, I write 1 dp in brackets. Same with this second one. So if you've ever bought a bike or heard your parents talk about the size of your bike, the size of your bike goes by the wheel size. So you'd go out and say you're buying an 18-inch bike, which means the wheel size, not the actual frame size. So 18-inch wheel is what my child has just now actually, so it's not very big. So 18 inches, don't be put off that it's inches, but 18 inches would be the full diameter of the wheel from top to bottom of the inner bit. So the diameter, the circumference of this technically would be the circumference of the bit where your inner tube goes. So the circumference of this is not the outside, it's going to be the circumference of this wee bit on the inside, but for the sake of this it doesn't really matter. 18 is the diameter, so that's pi times diameter, so C equals pi d. change pi to 3.14 and change the diameter to 18. Type that into your calculator and it gives you 56.52. That 2 is not going to do anything in rounding, so it stays as 56.5. Now this time it would be inches, so we'll just write inches for our units, and that is to 1 decimal place. Okay, so these two have been straightforward where I have given you the diameter. Question 3 and 4, you'll notice I've not given you the diameter of my two items. I've given you from the centre to the outside, so like this spoke in a wheel, so I've only given you the radius. So the first thing I'm going to do is write down what my diameter is. So if my radius is 15, your diameter is double that, so I'm going to use a diameter of 30 for this one. On question 4, the radius of that cake tin is 7, because it only goes from the centre to the outside. So the diameter would be double 7, which is 14. So the formula C equals pi d. Replace each thing, so replace pi with 3.14, your diameter with 30. Type that into your calculator and you will get 94.2. Now that comes out as exactly 94.2, so there's no need to round for that one. So it's 94.2 centimetres. On the second one, you've got pi d again. Pi gets replaced with 3.14. We've already said our diameter is 14, not the 7. And if you put that into your calculator, you will get 43.96. Now, to 1 decimal place, so 43.96. That 6 will make the 9 go up, which will then make the 3 go up. So technically my answer here would be 44.0 centimetres to 1 decimal place. So because I've asked for 1 decimal place, I'm putting a 0 in there. If I didn't put the 0 there and just said it was 44, technically that's me giving it the nearest whole number and not 1 decimal place. Okay, so remember when we taught significant figures, we said you're putting that 0 on for a reason, and the reason here is because the question asked for 1 decimal place. So that's the end of my 4 examples. That's all you have to do. You just have to be careful that you're always conscious of using the diameter each time. Don't just jump in and use whichever number they've given you. Double check in your mind that you have the diameter, the full width of the circle. So as usual, this is a place you would pause the video and try some of these. I would want you to get each of these circumferences to 1 decimal place today. You'll notice the top row, I've always given the diameter. The bottom row, I've always given you the middle row, I've always given you the radius, and the bottom row is a bit of a mixture. So it's kind of staggered. So again, just be sure you're doing 3.14 times the diameter, not the radius. And then unpause the video and you will find the answers. And that is the answers there to 1 decimal place for the circumference of each of these circles. Thank you very much.